Welcome back to the fifth episode of the Dose podcast with me, myself, T, the owner of Yak, and with my mentor, Tony.
How's it going, y'all?
Cool. And on this episode, number 5, we have a special guest, highly requested. His ideology is cold. The way that he writes, stupendous. We're here with Nuovo.
Hey, what's up, man? Glad to be here on the dose with you guys. We're gonna have a good one, good conversation.
Yes, sir.
We're looking forward to it, man.
So on this episode, we're going to be speaking about how to be handsome. And we're going to be going in depth with this stuff. We're not going to talk about the first surface level. We're not going to talk about just the generic fucking, you need to have money or you need to have a nice haircut or whatever. We're going to go deep into this to where you can actually understand the inner workings of what it means to be handsome and how to do it for yourself. At the end of the day, everyone's different, right? There's going to be different kind of things that other people can pull off, which you can't. There's going to be different things that you can pull off, which others can't. So you have to find your own source, but we're going to give you that source. We're going to give you the ingredients to know, okay, boom, I need to do X, Y, Z. And if I do X, Y, Z, I'm going to be chilling. I'm going to be looking my best, feeling clean, all that kind of thing. So firstly, we're going to get into what actually being handsome is, because a lot of people think it's just about your looks. And obviously looks are an aspect of it, but at the same time, it's much deeper than that. You can be a good-looking guy, but if you're a square, if you have no idea of how the world works, there's no amount of looks that are going to help compensate for the fact that you don't have that awareness. It's like if a woman, I guarantee all of you at least know one woman who's a dime, a woman who's an 8, 9, a solid, looks like a model. But when you speak to her, it's like speaking to a brick wall. Like there's no substance, there's nothing to her. It's just looks and that's it. So that shows the importance of having those intangibles as opposed to just the looks itself. So Tony, what would you like to say about this?
Oh, man, I could go on all day about this subject, but look, handsome to me is not going to be the average answer. It's not going to be the textbook answer of what handsome is. And here's why I say this. Because if I pulled up in a motherfucking Rolls Royce right now with some Gucci shoes on, the Gucci belt, the fat gold chain, but I looked like a fucking gorilla, these girls would still tell themselves that I was handsome. And they might walk right past a young Brad Pitt who never made it as an actor to come fuck with me. Girls' idea of handsomeness is subjective to how they see you, where you are in their mind. That's why you got motherfuckers like, no hate on him, but the Pete Davidson guy, if he wasn't rich and he wasn't already fucking Kim Kardashian, I think we could all agree that dude would not be a sex icon. We got plenty of guys out here, just like you said. You have girls, they're cute, they're pretty, they know how to do their makeup, they know how to dress, they know how to be beautiful. Then you follow them on social media and they're smoking a blunt and rapping along to a Kodak Black song. You tell yourself, I would never talk to this bitch. I would never take this bitch serious. She automatically becomes unattractive. What happens when guys, get punked or bullied in front of their girlfriend? She automatically loses attraction for them. You become ugly. She doesn't like you. Her idea of what's handsome and what's not is completely subjective to how she sees you. If you're rich, you're handsome. If you walk like you're handsome, you're handsome. If you had a midget right now walking down the street like he was a pimp, the girls would say, man, I don't know what it is about that midget, but something about him, I kind of think he's handsome. Girls kind of get off on having like an ugly crush and then convincing themselves he's handsome. Girls are weird about that. Now, I'm not downplaying the importance of aesthetic beauty, but what I'm saying is you guys got to realize that handsome goes hand in hand with status. Handsome goes hand in hand with individual status. How that girl sees you. If you have a conversation with a girl and you elevate yourself and you speak well, you make a good impression on her to the point that she sees you highly, you will be handsome. Now, as far as the importance of being aesthetically beautiful, that's a hook in a bitch. There's girls, I've had girls tell me, I don't want to deal with the shit you put me through, but I know I'm not going to find another guy that looks like you. And I'm really not your top jack, but at the same time, I do look good, and you keep the six pack going, you keep in shape, you keep looking young. You know how they always talk about the ideal aesthetic beauty of a woman is her youth, a woman looking young and beautiful. You think it's not the same for men? All that shit they tell you about the older, distinguished gentleman, with the graying hair on the sides, that means he's rich. That means he's rich and he's got a house and he's got a car. She doesn't have to worry about him being out every night, coming home at 3 a.m. with, lipstick on his foot. They don't actually want that. These old girls don't pay older men to come over. They don't go to Chippendales to watch old men talk about golf. They go watch male strippers. They watch rap videos. They watch R&B singers. They want young, youthful men too. It's not just men that want young, beautiful women. Women want young, beautiful men. If a rich woman is single, odds are she's going to go out and she's going to get a young boy toy, who has a six-pack, who's well-groomed, whose hair is well-groomed, whose skin is clear and clean, fuck all night. That's what they want. The same way that men want a youthful woman, the women want a youthful man. So you have to embody masculine youth. You have to embody beautiful masculine youth. You have to keep your skin clean. You have to keep your skin clear. You have to keep your hair clean. You have to keep your youthful body. Don't get a gut. It's not okay to have a gut at 40. It's not okay to have a gut at 20. It's never okay to have a gut. It's never okay to not be beautiful. You have to push for these things, and you have to know why you're pushing for these things. Because if you're in the gym and you're just in the gym because you're in the gym, because some asshole told you in the comments, you know what I mean, in some Instagram channel, oh, you need to hit the gym. You don't know why you're in the gym. You're not going to go hard like you need to go hard. You need to have a reason you're in the gym. You need to be in the gym because you know the quality of bitches I'm going to get and the way I'm going to be treated is different when I have a six-pack and when I don't. If you know why you're doing it, then you're going to do it completely different. You're going to do it for real. And I go back to that sometimes. This is a whole world now of people who want to look like they're doing it. They want to look like they're something. It's more important to look like you're something to this generation than it is to be something. All these gym posters, none of these motherfuckers have impressive physiques. All these red pill pages and none of these motherfuckers have impressive results with women. How many of these red pill pages actually have women, talking to them in the background? None of them. You know what I mean? They hire these bitches to come and talk to them. So how can I believe you? It's more important to, and no one even calls that shit out. We used to call that shit out in my generation. We used to call that shit out as fake. Nowadays, it goes right under the radar because it's the norm. So it's the same thing. If you want to look like you're going to the gym and you want to look like you want to have girls and you want to look like you want success, but you don't have the actual reason, the actual drive to want those things, you're not going to go after them. After a long day at work in the gym and all that, you don't want to come home and moisturize your face. You don't want to exfoliate. You know what I mean? You don't want to keep your nails clipped and clean. You know what I mean? You don't want to do all that shit. But if you have a why, it's easy to follow through with. But that's all I got for now. You guys go ahead.
That's all you know about.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of like what it means to be handsome, I do agree in a lot of key aspects that Tony mentioned. I mean, also what you mentioned before. I believe that yes, there are some intangibles to it. Though I do have to recognize that it's just as important to a certain level. And maybe it's just based on my own experience how I feel that women just respond to you in a completely different way because there's this myth that women are not visual, but women are extremely visual. And obviously because that speaks about your intangibles as well. I mean, as Tony was mentioning, like if you want to be about it, you have to, maintain a certain look to yourself, the six-pack, look young, look beautiful, look sexy, look handsome. And I mean, of course, that's going to be like the pinnacle, a man that has both the tangibles and the intangibles. But it will depend on the woman. There will be some women who ultimately just care more about the tangibles, some women that could care more about the intangibles. And it might even have to do also with her mood in the moment. Sometimes even the fucking phase she's in her menstrual cycle in the moment. Women change like by the minute sometimes. At least most women do. And if of course, if a woman is genuinely into you, she's going to be, of course, always pedestalizing you, even if you don't look your best in that moment, whatever. She's still going to think you're handsome, as Tony was mentioning. But the actual act of looking handsome goes to the tangibles as well. And the tangibles are, you see how you're taller, you have a better looking body, you look stronger, you look like a man, you look more you have a better sexual dimorphism to your face and to your body, you're going to get picked by women a lot more. If you have two guys who both are smart, who both have this, and they both have money, she's going to go with the guy who's taller, who's more handsome, who has a better looking body. Women, when they're having, sexual thoughts, they don't think about a guy who's short with a belly. They think about a guy tall with six pack, or if he doesn't have a six pack, then at least he got to have a white back, wide shoulders, look like he's about it, look like he's a man. And most importantly, something I've found is that women like to believe that you're handsome in this. They make this story about yourself. So they, for example, tell themselves a story that you are this specific warrior, or you're this specific, even some things like, fucking wolf or an animal. They like to imagine you as some type of beast. At least when we're talking about very feminine women, that they love to submit. They love to imagine you as some type of beast, as some type of animalistic. So I believe that if you have a side to you that is too polished or too modern in a way, and that's why my account is a little bit more like into the ancient side of things, and that's because women live in fantasy world, and most of the time women cannot create that much of a fantasy if they're with a rich guy, a guy who's just rich, he just has a mansion, he just has this, but he's too afraid to get dirty, for example. So in my personal experience and in my opinion, I have been, of course, I've made a lot of money. I've been like the quote unquote rich guy. I've, wear the shirts and whatever, but I have found out that there is no real way a woman sees you as handsome if you are not a man who's also willing to get dirty, who's also willing to, show this wilder side to yourself, get sweaty, get dirty. Because women don't want a guy who's just too pretty to get dirty, too polished. And I see a lot of red pill guys or whatever that believe that the idea of a woman is this guy who's just highly polished, highly just careful about everything. But at least when women want, when they're in the fertile phase of their menstrual cycle, they want a man. They kind of want more a guy who's into, the wilderness, the guns, the getting dirty, more of a beast of a man than rather just a polished, pretty guy. And I've backpacked around the world, and I can tell you that I've had a lot more success with women, just literally me, myself, just with, shirtless and wearing a fucking backpack and just with long hair, untamed beard. I've had a lot more success with women than when it was just completely polished. There's just something about women feeling you, like having your dick just hanging and your balls hanging around, that just attracts women a lot more and attracts better quality women, in my opinion. Because if a woman is just attracted to you because you look too polished, you're just driving the Ferrari or whatever, mostly going to attract gold diggers. In my opinion, you don't need even money to be handsome at all. Being handsome is about just being more in tune with what it is to be a man. And that's my take on this.
I sit with that too. The same way you said the beast mode, the beauty is a tool. A lot of guys who might be handsome, they don't actually leave the house saying, like how girls do. Girls, they spend 2 hours in the mirror and they say, my beauty's going to bring someone in tonight. Men don't think like that. The average man doesn't think like that. He doesn't say, I'm so handsome, this bitch has no choice. These bitches have no choice but to choose me tonight. They don't think like that the way they should. The same way women have feminine charms, men have masculine charms. And we lost that art. You look at Sean Connery in the 60s or those old dudes from the past, Steve Reeves, they knew when they went to the beach, they already knew. You know what I mean? Arnold was the last of those guys that just knew. You could see it in his eyes. He knows. These guys nowadays, even the ones that are rich or considered handsome, they don't have that anymore. They don't have that magnetism that pulls women in where they know they're attracted. So they play it up and they play on it. That's a lost art now. If you know that, if you play the masculine charms, and if you play the beast mode with it, one of the big factors is if a woman feels safe with you. You basically, if you're with your girl, you got to show that you're not a punk. You have to show that you're not a punk every opportunity that comes. So if you can play the beast mode as a tool, if you can play the charm and the handsomeness as a tool, you know, and you can play your resources as a tool too. That doesn't mean spending a bunch of money on her, but that means, you know, letting her know that you can take care of yourself financially. You know what I mean? And that might not be showing yourself in a nice car or, you know, buying her something. It could be you having your hair together, your shit together. You're having your teeth white and clean. You know, your shirt doesn't have a stain on it. It's not ripped. Your shoes aren't fucked up. Now, that gives the air of self-care. So I agree with
Exactly.
that. These things are all tools. The beast mode is a tool. If you're missing that, she's not going to like you. She doesn't want a rich punk. You know, you're right about that. She doesn't want an ugly guy either. If you have to choose between a handsome rich guy or an ugly rich guy, she's always going to pick the handsome guy. That's why you have to keep these tools consciously in your mind and know which card to play. You know, it's a whole deck. It's a whole hand. We got to know which cards to play and when.
Something else I want to
I
add to
feel well with
like
what you were saying.
yeah, something else I want to add to what you were mentioning as well is that, you know, because you mentioned that over an ugly rich guy or you know, a handsome rich guy, she's always going to go with a handsome rich guy, and of course, but in my experience and in my opinion, over an ugly rich guy, especially if the woman is young, and when we're talking just pure sexually, she's going to go with a handsome guy who's broke sexually over the guy who is rich and ugly. And that's just because I've noticed that women prefer being handsome. Of course, they want resources, of course, but the resources that they care about when you're young, especially when the woman is young, when the woman has not been passed around, is mostly about because she wants to have fun with you. Women who care about resources in a more logical way is usually because either they have a lot of bodies and they're kind of tired of that, but also they're just usually in their 40s or whatever, and they want to settle down already. But when a woman is young, she's looking for fun. You know, I have backpacked a lot, and I have like traveled very low budget, not told women that I have actually a lot of money, whatever, just for the experience. Of course, this depends also on the aesthetic of the woman. Keep in mind, these women are more outdoorsy, sporty type of women. But this woman could give less shits if a guy pulls up in a Ferrari, because that's just not the type of woman that they are. And maybe as you know, as Toby was mentioning, maybe it has to do also with culture. I can see personally that a lot of like, I don't know, like in black culture, for example, a lot of women care more about money. And maybe in American culture, white women are more into that. But in European white, I'm talking about Germanic women, Scandinavian women, they literally could care. They could give less fucks about if you have a Ferrari or not. Like, so I think you also have to keep in mind that, like, what's your target women that you want to be handsome to? Because you might be really attractive if you're Chris Brown or something, or you might be Mick Mill or something. You might be really attractive to some women in America, but you go to Scandinavia, you completely go unnoticed. You don't give a shit about that. So, because then the type of women want more of a completely different type of guy who's more into outdoors and sports and hiking and fucking being more of a Viking type of look. Than McMill. I mean, McMill might have a lot of success in Atlanta. He's not going to have any success in Germany, or maybe, well, not in Germany, maybe in some clubs, but I'm talking about in Oslo, in Norway. So I think you also have to keep that in mind. And what's your target? You might be handsome to a lot of women. Some other women just not going to like you depending on your aesthetic.
So the best thing to do is have all the tools. Have all of them. Be handsome. Be the beast. Be rich.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what it comes down to. Just be everything, and then accept that some women are going to prefer another aesthetic, and that's okay. Like, you don't give a fuck, because then you're still going to have a lot of other women who prefer your aesthetic. That's it.
That's the one. A lot of people, they get like in their feelings if a woman rejects them on something. Like, let's say you go up to a woman and you go ask for a number, she says no. A lot of people, like, they let that rejection become who they are, or like that's a reflection of the man that they are, when in reality it's just a lot of times just not her type. As Nuovo said,
exactly.
If you're speaking to a woman who's from Norway, she's gonna like a certain type of guy. That's just, it is what it is. No matter how good looking you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter how ripped you are. Let's even say for
Yeah.
myself. Obviously, it's only a generalization, like everything in life. But I'm black. If I go to Norway, I'm gonna have a lower chance with women as opposed to, let's say, I'm going to Nigeria. That's just because that's just the way the cultures is, and that's not something you can take personally. It just is what it is. You have to know the game that you're playing and then operate in that environment. You can't be going into a place that is predominantly white or they only have a certain kind of thing if you're the other type or a different race. That's not to say that you can't ever get a Norwegian woman. It's just that it's going to be harder for you, or there's only going to be a certain subset of Norwegian women who would be attracted to you. But at the same time, again, you can't be taking nothing personally, especially in terms of rejection. It is what it is, bro. Like, truly, it is what it is. Like, if she don't like you, there's going to be someone else who does. And if someone else does, that means there's going to be millions more who do. At the end of the day, it's just a woman, bro. Like, okay, you got rejected. Charge it to the game and keep it pushing, my G.
Exactly. It's just something cultural sometimes. I mean, and of course there are some tangibles that are like throughout all cultures, no matter what. There are some things women will find attractive. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, if you're in Nigeria, if you're in Norway, if you're in China. Doesn't matter. Some women will, like, there are some traits that women will always find attractive, like you being taller than her, you being bigger than her, having, clean teeth, not looking like a bum. Of course, having nice hair to yourself, not being fat. I mean, there's just some obvious. So that just, if you take care of those things, if you just, as I told you, kind of like a charming beast, as kind of like what Tony said, you mix those two, then of course you're going to have success in most of the world. Because let's say you are a black man, you go to Scandinavia, for example, but you go to a place where in Scandinavia, most of the white guys there looking like complete bums, or you're taller than them, or you're more fit than them, you're probably going to have dating success, to some level. You're going to have some dating success because women will see every those other things. Now, if you go to China, then you might even have that. If you are a white guy, you go to Nigeria, but you have those things taken care of, you're going to be preferred. So, yeah, but then just some cultural stuff. So I can tell you that, at least in my opinion, of course, women have to know that you have some money and some level to provide, mostly for the fun of it. So you can take her places and you can pay for food and not struggle with it. And just because money gives you confidence as a man, and women don't like men who don't have confidence. It shows that you're competent, shows that you do something. But in my experience, at least, I don't know your guys' take on this, but in my experience, you need absolutely no crazy amount of money to get even supermodels. You don't need anything. I can have sex with a supermodel in a minivan, and a guy in a Ferrari will not do it.
I don't disagree with that because, I won't say why, but I don't disagree with that at all. The thing is long before I had money, I was still getting bitches. So I can't disagree with that because
And that's the thing.
long before I ever touched a big dollar, I was still fucking bad bitches.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people get into this mindset to where, okay, let's say it's an 8 or a 9 or a supermodel, whatever. Okay, because she looks like that, she'll only go for a certain type of guy. And in a sense, that is true. But at the same time, if you have those intangibles, if you have those things to where you have what other people lack, you're instantly putting yourself in a higher level. For example, the amount of millionaires who can't attract women is crazy just because they feel, or they think that just because they have money, it's going to instantly attract women. And it'll attract a certain type of woman, that's for sure. But it won't be the type to where she's going to do anything for you. She's going to cook for you. She's going to actually be of service to your life. She's going to be beneficial for you in some way, shape or form. And that's what a lot of people kind of misconstrue this whole idea of money or being handsome or just anything like that. It's something, it has to be deeper. It can't just be the surface level of money. It can't just be the surface level of looks. It can't be the surface level of your physique. It's like gym bros who go to gym and they're thinking, okay, because I've got 18-inch biceps, I should be attracting a bunch of women now. That's not how it works, G. it has to be more than that. It has to be deeper than that. It has to be something to where, Tony talked about it at the start, it has to have a hook, something to where she's hooked onto you, whether it's, let's say, it's your charisma, let's say it's the way that you carry yourself, let's say it's the principles that you have, that kind of thing, to where it's more than just the looks or the money or the physique in and of itself. It has to be, it's almost like you're putting pieces of the puzzle together. Okay, so for this guy, he has his money, and then he has his physique, and then he has the looks. Oh, but he also has the intangibles of he can protect and provide. He can make me laugh. If you have that whole kind of combination, if you've put all the pieces of the puzzle together, it's easy, bruv. It's easy because you're competing on a different playing field. Competing on a level to where people, they're more focused on the superficial stuff, the stuff which maybe their parents told them, or society, or the red pillars, whatever. Or you need to get money, you'll attract a woman. But when you're going deeper, you're going into those things where money can't touch or money can't even buy. And that's the difference. That's what will make you separate yourself from the crowd.
I agree with that. Well, like, something I even want to add to that is the fact that, like, when you're a man, and you sometimes think that you make this mistake of thinking, well, I'm going to make money so I can attract women. And of course, that's a mistake for a lot of reasons. But women, like, money doesn't make a woman's pussy wet. So basically, if you show a woman bank account, you have $1 million there, it's not going to do absolutely anything to her. One of the biggest mistakes you can do is just try to make money to get women, because then you're going to realize that you spent your entire life trying to make money for a cause that wasn't even worth it, and it was not even fructuous, you could say, because it's given you absolutely no results. And the most important thing that you have to keep in mind when you make money is that the money that you make, yes, of course, you will provide for your woman. And I can tell you that women definitely prefer if you have money over if you don't. But that is mostly because it gives you confidence. It's because you as a man, you carry yourself different when you have money than when you don't. When you're broke, you cannot even talk to a woman. I know some guys can do, but most guys, when they're completely broke, they're not going to be able to, they just don't carry themselves properly. And something that I want to add to this as well is the fact that I have heard countless amounts of women. Maybe, between the three of us, we have interacted with different types of women. I was a male model in 2019, and I've interacted with those type of women, supermodels, European, and I've also interacted with the other opposites of women, which are more athletic, outdoorsy, backpacking type of women. You could say traditional type of women, even in a way, more like they know their roles, whatever. They like nature. And I can tell you that they have a lot more in common than you might think. But something that I can tell you is that I've had countless of women tell me how, I don't know if you've noticed this, but you see on Instagram nowadays a lot of guys who kind of like try to max out their status and whatnot, just look like they have extremely perfect lives and they have extremely perfect everything on social media. And I've had countless of women tell me, and I have seen how they don't pay attention to those guys. And I've noticed that that's because also women hate when you're not authentic. And I think being authentic is part of being handsome, just being more of a, I see a lot of guys who just have this accounts, professionally taking pictures. They look like they always are, in the most expensive restaurants. It's so everything too perfect. It feels like it's a little robotic. It feels monotonous. It feels boring, because I've had, I've talked to women in the past about this, and I can tell you that women can step in a Ferrari with a guy who is an Instagram fitness influencer, whatever. He has a great body. He has a Ferrari. He has a Lambo. He has a mansion in Beverly Hills. But they can be absolutely bored with him. You'll be fucking bored. And you can take a woman to sleep on a tent with you in the middle of Iceland in the woods, the forest, and her pussy is going to be dripping for it because she's looking at the northern lights, she's looking at the snow, And of course, this might be something cultural, but in my opinion, if you can find a woman who prefers that over the other lifestyle, is when you know you not only you found a good woman, not only you found a woman who values better things in life, she's also a bit smarter, also comes from a better cultural background, but also you're going to find out that also feels better for you as a man. Because you realize you don't need to put up all these fronts and not be yourself, not be authentic. You have to pretend like you're this little robot on Instagram, and that's why I kind of don't like that red pill culture. Of trying to just hustle so you can be this perfect guy who's always clean, always in the Ferrari, always. Maybe that might work with some specific niche of women, but I have found that that's not the best approach to finding an actual good woman and to actually feeling better with yourself even. So I don't know what's your guys' takes on that.
I got something for you. So that thing that you were just outlaying like the last minute, I say it a little bit differently, but it's the same concept. I've been saying for a long time, bitches need excitement. And that's basically what you just said, that, bitches need excitement. At least that's how I saw it, you know what I mean? And like you said, one girl might go backpacking and she might get excited. One girl might be with the rich guy, but it's just monotonous. He's just rich. He's just got the six pack. He's got the fake perfect life. There's no excitement. The excitement is going to depend on the girl. It's going to depend on the culture. But at the end of the day, every girl needs excitement. There's three things every girl needs: romance, drama, and excitement. You know what the excitement is? That's going to depend on the girl. But what you were talking about before that, the money, guys depending on the money. Let me ask you something. Fundamentally, what's the difference between a guy who depends on the money, who says, I'm going to go get money and then I'm going to get a girl? What's the fundamental difference from that man to the man that says, I'm going to hit the gym every day and I'm going to get the physique and then I'm going to go get the girl? They're the same person. One's chasing the gym, one's chasing the money. But here's what both of them are avoiding. Both of them are looking outwards, but both of them are avoiding looking inward and saying, how can I actually fix me? How can I become a better man? How can I become more attractive? It's easier to go to the gym. It's easier to become a millionaire than it is to look to yourself and say, why am I not getting the results that I want? That's a hard question to ask yourself. And that's what all these guys are avoiding. And that's why they don't have any results. That's why there's millionaires who still can't get a bitch. That's why there's guys with six packs who still can't get a bitch. I'm sure you guys have seen that video with the awkward bodybuilder guy on Omega or something. And he's, hi, I'm a body. They're like, are you a bodybuilder? And he just couldn't even talk to these girls, But the dude's got a 5-star physique. It doesn't help you. Same with the money. It's not going to help you. The money's not going to help you if you haven't helped yourself. The physique's not going to help you if you haven't helped yourself. Guys have to stop telling other guys and encouraging other guys to run away from the truth instead of looking inward and fucking fixing themselves. Whatever that fixing may be, the truth is we all know what we need to do. We all know what we need to do to be better. We all know what our problems are. And if we go chase money, we're avoiding that. If we go chase the gym, we're fucking avoiding that. The real truth is what you were talking about earlier, that's called money making you. Well, that's what we used to call it in the game, was dudes who let money make them. There was a lot of dudes like that. There was a lot of dudes like that a long time ago in the 60s and the 70s. They were singers and stuff. Like Teddy Graham, there's people who were famous and they used to try to go to the like San Francisco and they used to try to be pimps because they thought, oh, I've got $1 million. I could go out there right now with this Rolls Royce and I could just get 4 or 5 girls and I could just put them out there and make $600 a night. And then these broke guys would come and take all their girls. It was called being a knock artist. You pride yourself on taking away a rich man's girl. It was juvenile, but at the end of the day, it's proof in the paint that you can do it. That just being rich ain't gonna keep that bitch. Women cheat on rich men all the time. Women cheat on rich men all the time. Women cheat on buff men all the time. The only thing that keeps her from cheating on you is you being better than the other options out there. And trust and believe, every one of these girls has 3 or 4 guys she's choosing from. So when you said earlier these girls have to choose, it's true. You get as many hooks in her ass as possible. The looks, the charm, the charisma, the manhood. It's the essence, really. Handsomeness is an essence. It's a place. It's what you are. The richness doesn't actually help in that sense. It might help for the initial attraction, but depending on just the riches is the worst thing you can do. Because when a girl sees you looking rich, her first thought is actually, how can I charge this motherfucker? How can I get some money out of him? Not to say every single woman thinks like that, but some of them think it more directly than others. And if you're setting yourself up for that, If you just want to be the muscle guy and have nothing else, if you just want to be the rich guy and have nothing else, you're just setting yourself up to get played. When really you should be setting yourself up to play. You should be setting yourself up to play. Whatever it is you want from this girl. You want to marry her, you want kids, you know, you want her to help you with your business. It doesn't matter. But you should have a plan too. Having a plan is part of having confidence. A lot of guys like to claim they have confidence, but they don't even have a fucking plan. How can you be a leader if you're not leading to something? Okay, these girls nowadays, they're not submissive and they don't want to listen. They don't want to lead. They don't want to let a man lead. Okay, let's just say, for the sake of an argument, she listens to everything you fucking say right now. She'll do everything you fucking say. What is she going to do? You don't even have a plan. So how are you a leader? You're not a leader. That's why she's not following. They make everything about the bitch. These girls nowadays aren't submissive. The fuck they aren't. These girls today are still very submissive, you know? You might have to argue with her a little bit and let her realize where you're coming from to follow. But everyone argues about a leader. How many of these guys arguing about being a leader actually have anywhere to lead her? I've yet to see it. I've yet to see someone speak about this. Have somewhere is your goal to take her to. And you should have that before you meet her. Now, you can meet her and then see her skills and then adapt. You know, well, I was trying to start a fitness page, but this bitch isn't fit, but she does look good, so I'm going to put this shirt on her and make her take pictures to advertise. You know, you got to kind of adapt how she can help you, but in reality, you have to have your plan cut out for you before you get there. And let me tell you something, you guys. A guy who already has that plan thought out on paper, and he's just waiting for the bitch to fall into his hands so he can put her to work, is going to talk to a bitch 100 times differently than a guy who doesn't even know what he's going to do if he gets the girl. That's the worst thing that could happen to you, is you actually get... Nuovo, you said you've dealt with some overly fine women before. Tell me the overly fine ones don't break men 100 times worse than the non-fine ones. They have guys wanting to fucking kill themselves when they leave and shit. I've seen it. I've seen this shit happen. I've seen guys get these overly fine, perfect 10 girls. They're ready to fucking kill themselves when these girls leave. It's fucking crazy. If you're not going to take her and use her right, it's better that you never had her, because it's going to fucking hurt you worse if you do get her and you don't know what to do with her. That's real confidence.
For real.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've seen Tom. Say it, man.
I was going to say, I think the biggest thing is the intention behind why you're doing anything. So, as you were speaking about, Sonny was speaking about, their intention behind making money is to get more women. Their intention behind going to gym is to get more women. You can never put yourself in such a predicament. That just shows that, one, that you're gay, and two, that you have women on such a high pedestal that it's almost like you value the woman ahead of the money. You value the woman ahead of the gym. You're doing stuff in order to attract her, and as a result, she can smell that in you as well, right? So, like I talked about in the last podcast, talked about in this one when 50 said, "Between the twinkle in your eyes, I can see the bitch in you." Brev, when you're doing things with a certain intention, or even in the wrong intentions, people can smell that on you, because there's a sense of desperation. You might not even realize it yourself, but because of the way that you're moving and the things that you're doing, you have a kind of an energy to where slightly repulsive. People can kind of sense that you're doing stuff weird. You're acting weird. You're trying to be something you're not. As Nuovo said, you're being inauthentic to who you are, and people can smell that, especially because women have this innate God-given gift to be able to understand energy. Well, any healthy woman anyway. So they understand that, okay, I can see that he is doing this when really should be doing that. It's almost like the whole idea of people replying 4 hours after a girl sends them a text. Like, bro, it is never that deep, bro. It is never that deep, but you have to be doing all this kind of goofy games in order to have this perceived status of yourself, or this perceived perception of yourself. Because at the end of the day, the man who you are is in everything that you do. In everything that you do, the way that you talk, the way that you act, the way that you speak, that's who you are, and that's what women can see.
Spit that shit, man.
The way that I see it, it's almost like I have had 1,000% more success with women the less I gave a fuck about them. And I know a lot of people say that, and and I know a lot of people don't go to the depths of it, but you have to. So, for example, You set yourself. It doesn't matter what God you believe in, what religion you have, whatever. I am pagan, for example, because I feel like that is something that just makes me connect better with who I am, with my ancestry. And but you can be whatever, you can be Muslim, whatever, but you have a goal that is more focused towards something godly. Because women with godliness from you, they want to see you as like you're a god, right? And if they perceive you that way, they're of course never going to leave you. Not only that, but of course they're actually gonna absolutely fall in love with you. And not many men can do that. And the reason why not many men can do that is because they don't have a godly objective. Kind of like what Tony was saying. You have to have a plan. You don't have a plan. Then how do you expect the woman to be like, well, okay, I'm gonna follow this guy? Because if you have, for example, a godly plan, and you have a plan that is towards something that has nothing to do with women at all, nothing to do with women, because you see a lot of these guys that are like on Tinder doing social experiments. I don't understand how they get women that are not superficial. I don't understand how they would get a woman in general. Maybe they can get some women, but women want essentially a man who does everything for himself. Like if you want to have sex with her, you're gonna have sex with her because you want to. If you want to eat in this place, you're gonna eat at that place because you want to. If
Exactly.
You're gonna, and then she's gonna stick around.
She doesn't want to be bigger than you. In your mind, she wants you to be bigger than you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, of course, she wants you to be bigger. She wants you to be better. She wants you to. But I had this very important realization because and this is something I really want to touch on in this podcast, and it's something about sexuality, right? So a lot of guys are very, very nowadays, thanks to like liberal culture and thanks to feminism, very concerned about like sexually like policing the woman, and that is terrible. And it's terrible for a lot of reasons. Now, not only because it makes you seem like you have to get some validation from her, like in a way, kind of like men buying all this type of attachment so they can get the girl to orgasm, or kind of like men trying to ask her like, is it okay if I do this, or is it okay asking for too much consent? And now I know that is gonna get flagged or whatever. But women kind of want it if that you have the pleasure, that you kind of you take her because you want her, and that's about it. And that's kind of like in sex, that's in life. They want you to do everything because you want to, and they just want to join. Women just want to join your plan. They just want to join the journey, and they don't give a fuck if you give too much fucks about them. Of course, there comes a point, especially if you want to have a serious relationship, in which you will have to, of course, take into consideration what she says to a certain level. Listen to her, care for her, especially if you do love her. She's a good woman. She provides value to your life. She's submissive to you because you are dominant to her. So women don't owe you shit. Women are mirrors. They just respond. So basically, if you're dominant, she's going to be submissive. If she likes you, she will be. It's just that simple. So you don't have to bother so much thinking. I get thousands of DMs, and I get like, how do I make sure my woman is submissive? Well, if she's not been submissive, just because you're bitch, basically. So it's not that deep. It's not a trick to it. You just have to not give a fuck about her so much and focus a lot more on your own stuff. And then if she wants to join, she's going to be submissive because she has to. She has no other option. Or else she can go take a hike. It doesn't matter to you. So that's ultimately my take on another part of being handsome, which is definitely not giving too much fucks about women in general. You're going to attract a million times more women that way.
Exactly. Don't ask how you can make her submissive. Ask how you can dominate. Don't ask how she can become attracted to you. Ask how you can become attracted.
And that comes down to one of the things I always said and always will say on my account. You have to put purpose first, ass last. Like once, it's not you always talk about. It has to be bigger than you. Your kind of reason that you're on this earth has to be more than just making money or getting a good body. It has to be something to where it's like even almost inconceivable. It's almost like you can't even
godly, you know,
describe it
just something
because
more
it's
divine.
so exactly. It's like something so big, so like grand that it's like a never-ending mission. It's something that there's always things to do. There's always ways to work. There's always different levels to improve. There's always that 0.1% which you can be improving in whatever you're doing. And obviously, at the end of the day, we as a man, you have to be mastering something. And there's the whole idea of it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. So you have to decide as a man what skill it is that you're going to master. It can be literally anything. If you want to be a DJ, if you want to be a footballer, if you want to be a head tech at Apple or whatever, you have to find something to which you're going to put your 10,000 hours in. And once you've done that, you keep going. It's the whole idea of Kobe, Jordan. Why were they so great? Because they would be waking up at 4 a.m. to go practice. They were obsessed with their craft, but their craft was so much bigger than them. To this day, there's a whole idea of who's better, Jordan, LeBron, or whatever. But fundamentally, they're two people who their love of basketball, or their love even just for kind of their legacy was surpassed their feelings or surpassed their kind of
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
the
You need
word
to have like this godly plan that sometimes people will not even understand. You know, and it's kind of, and that's kind of like what women say sometimes. Like, I don't know about this man, but he just has something about it, something more like godly, something more, um, something unique to himself. Because you can have a bunch of guys. You know, you have a woman, and you ask nowadays all guys, what do you want? Well, I want to be a millionaire. You know, every guy wants the same. Every guy wants muscles to be a millionaire, to have a Ferrari, right? Every guy, especially with these motherfuckers like, I don't know, Andrew Tate, whatever, they're just looking up to them. And there's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with the message. But there is, it's just like almost like this, like the younger generations, whatever, they're just starting to get copy and paste into these little clones of make money, get women, and get the Bugatti. And it's like, but you lose yourself in the process. You lose what makes you you. And you look at guys. I don't know. For example, my name is Nuovoachilles, right? And the reason why it is because when I read the Iliad, and later after I read the Iliad, I watched the movie Troy and whatever. I understood that I was so identified with the character of who Achilles was. I would have done exactly the same. And it's he literally gave absolutely zero fucks about women, about a king, because he had a king. About he gave no fucks about anything, even his own religion, whatever. He challenged the gods, he challenged everyone because he had a mission, and the mission was to go fight in Troy. And he had like this exodus to himself. He had this destiny marked around. You can see that even in stories like Ragnar Lothbrok. You can see this in history. A lot of men, you know, all these heroes, they have all these this exodus to themselves. They have all this mission in their life, and that's ultimately something that money will never replace. Something that you can have all the money in the world, you can have the six pack, you can have whatever. If you don't have that to yourself, and maybe this goes a little bit off topic from the being handsome, but that's why a lot of guys want to kill themselves nowadays. That's why a lot of guys have a lot of money, have, you know, even sometimes they have women. You know, they I don't know, these guys like Dan Bilzerian or whatever, they have women, money. They still feel, they still give off like a miserable vibe to themselves. And it's because they don't really have much of a purpose. They got everything and now they don't really know what to do, but just, okay, endless pussy, endless money. There's not much more else to it. And maybe this goes a bit off topic from the being handsome, but it goes to the topic of what it is to be a man. And that is having that, you know.
That's
Yeah, of
on top.
course.
Sure. What you guys are like both kind of, what you guys are both kind of touching on, if not just outright touching on it, is the aspect of making it religious. The game is religious. It's not a science. You know, that's why these guys who go out and do social experiments still don't have any results. The game is a religion. Only a man of faith can be in the game. Only a man of religion can win. Religion in the sense that if you understand the aspect of religiousness, like you were saying, Achilles, why was he going out and doing all that? Because that was his religion. He had to test everything. And he had complete faith that he was going to be successful. You have to understand faith in order to understand the game. If you don't have faith in something else, you don't understand faith. And I'm not saying it has to be a specific religion, but you have to be religious, because this game is a religion. To push through the things that we push through and to see the bigger goal at the end, it's no different from seeing heaven or Valhalla or whatever you believe in. It's seeing the light at the end that's not there yet. It's faith. And that's in
Exactly.
as far as how you're going to get the woman, where you're going to be in life, you achieving your goals. You see these things before they happen, and they come to you because you believe and because you put in the work. Believing in something and putting in the work are two different things. And that's the real faith, because the world doesn't follow up with you until they see you doing it. People followed Achilles because he didn't talk about going out and conquering the world. He was already there on the field. You want to find Achilles? You know where to find him. He's out there right now. All the guys that want to be billionaires because it's their dream, you know where to find them right now. They're not up on Saturday at the coffee shop. They weren't up last night drinking. They're in the office. It's a religion. It's a matter of faith. And you have to have the faith in the greater thing. And the greater thing can be yourself. And that's not selfish. It can be to your greater self, and it can be to your devotions. But it is religious.
Exactly. I mean, the takeout from this is that being handsome is not science. It's an art, and it is an art that you. It's kind of like this painting or this sculpture even that you sculpt every single day. You carve it up a little more. You grab some extra details. You carve some extra details until at the end of the hopefully when you're in your deathbed, you can look at the sculpture and be proud of it. Look at it as I made a fucking masterpiece out of my life. And that's basically and essentially what being handsome is. It's just making a masterpiece out of every single aspect, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So it comes down to how, even from the way that you speak to the way that you walk to the way you wake up, that's what it is.
Fundamentally, it's an energy. It's an energy which you possess, an energy which you carry yourself with. And obviously, there's the whole science thing of energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred, or whatever the other part of it is. I don't like science. I can't stand anything to do with science. But everything is energy. Everything is vibrating in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's the water you're drinking, whether it's the way that you're speaking. Even when you're speaking, put your hand on your chest. You can feel that your hand is vibrating, because that's what energy is. So that's essentially what being handsome is carrying yourself in a particular light. And as Nuovo spoke about it like a little bit ago, about being that authentic to who you are, in terms of being yourself is your biggest superpower. There's been however many billions of people in this world, and there's never going to be another person who has the same genetic makeup as you. That you can't try and be something that you're not, or try and be something that someone else is, because you're literally discrediting yourself. You're being disrespectful to yourself. Like, you yourself are like, there's a whole cliche of you're 1 in a million, 1 in a billion, whatever, but like, it actually is true. There's never going to be another person like you. And even if you have a son who is identical to you in every way, shape, or form, there's still going to be something different about you, because that's just who you are, and the experiences you've had have created that. It's like you're constantly, every day is, again, whoever said, you're sculpting yourself, you're building your character, you're fortifying your mind, you're doing all of this with the end goal of a kind of mission in mind. And again, it has to be something bigger than you. It has to be something to where that obsession is that thing to where it's always on your mind. You don't have to be consciously thinking about it. It's just you're literally going about your day with this kind of end goal in mind, and as a result, you're doing certain actions and you're carrying yourself in a certain way to be able to carry that out. Obviously, we're all different religions. You might be agnostic, atheist, whatever. But what I believe is that God put us on this earth for a reason, and we have to find that reason. We have to fulfill it. And I believe if we do fulfill it, that's like kind of like that enlightenment, almost, or that kind of sense of bliss, or just peace, almost, that you're just so like focused, you're so on the right path that nothing else can kind of stop you. And that's what most of the world, man or woman, are missing nowadays. They don't have that kind of thing to where it's so grand, it's so big that they get caught up in the little shit. Like, if you're getting your feelings over a woman, you are like, I don't know how to describe the word. I didn't want to say the word really, but people know what I mean. It's like, it's pathetic. Like, you can never allow something such as minuscule as a woman, or taking an L, or getting turned down, whatever, to affect who you are, because at the end of the day, there's a bigger path, there's a bigger plan which you're headed down. Everything that you go through is just there to help you, there to sculpt you, there to build you, to get you into becoming that man who is worthy of achieving the things that God wants you to achieve.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I even have like a story to share right now that kind of relates to that, and is that I was so I have a friend and he's from Denmark, and he came to visit me, and he came to my apartment once, and he was like, yeah, man, we should go to eat. So we went to steakhouse, and we go to steakhouse, and we were talking just business, just having a laugh, just laughing, having a good time. And then I realized that I had an issue with my bank in a moment. So I had an issue with my bank, and my cards were not working. I didn't have any cash, and of course we went to steakhouse. It ended up being a little bit expensive, and I had absolutely no money. I had absolutely no way to pay. He didn't bring any money because he didn't bring his wallet because he didn't expect he was going to pay. And then of course there were a lot of the pretty waitresses and the staff of the restaurant, and it was a bit embarrassing because in that moment I had to literally just ask family member for money, and it was kind of to the eyes of someone average or whatever, it was embarrassing or awkward. But then he pointed something out to me because, we kind of go to fix, we paid, we left, but we had to stay there for 45 minutes while everyone was looking at us these guys kind of are broke. And then after I left, he mentioned something very important to me. He mentioned you know what? I noticed about yourself, Novel, that you didn't change your attitude at all. You didn't change your posture. You didn't change the way you still were smiling at the women. You still were very polite to the people. You still felt confident. You still walked out of that door like you like $1 million. And he was like, even though you went through a situation that could have been more awkward for most people. And he was like, and that's something that he picked up for me, and I didn't even notice for myself. But he was like, to have the confidence of feeling, just being, this untouchable confidence, this untouchable energy to yourself, whether you're broke, whether you're not broke, whether you fucking shit your pants, whatever, you're still the man. And that's something I explained to him. It doesn't matter. You can have the most beautiful woman in the world, and then she leaves you. You're still the man. You can one day have $1 million, the next day have zero. You're still the man. You can have, one day you can be wearing a suit, the other day you can be wearing just track pants and whatever. You're still the man. You're still the man when you're naked. You're still the man when you are fully dressed up. You're still the man no matter where you are, how you talk, no matter if you have a booger coming out your nose. Then it's the sexiest booger ever the world has ever seen, you just have to think about yourself in that way, and then you're going to project that to the world. And that's ultimately what you mentioned about your energy. It's just something, a story that shifted my perspective of things, and I realized something about myself I didn't even notice, and I just did it more instinctually.
It's because manhood is a position. It's a rank. It's not an item. It's not something that you buy.
Exactly. It cannot be bought.
Exactly. It's something that you are. If if Bill Gates' car broke down on the way to work this morning, he wouldn't feel broke. If a guy with 10 wives, one of them leaves, he don't feel alone. It's just that simple.
The
But
abundance mindset, of course.
It's who you are. Yeah, it's who you are. And little things from day to day don't really fuck you up. And for you guys that are listening to this, because there's going to be a lot of you guys, think about what I just said for a second. If little things that happen to you shake you up, if you wouldn't have dealt with yourself in the situation like he dealt with himself, then you're not who you say you are yet. For you guys to say you're already there, you've already done the work, and you've already got the confidence, if something like that, if the little things in life shake you up, you're not there yet, and you need to keep working.
Exactly, I agree with that. Lord, man. When a woman notices that, because women, you see, and this is a very important thing, right?
You guys there?
Yeah,
We losing?
I think so.
That
with
fucking.
anything.
There he is.
Yeah.
No, repeat that last like 15 seconds. It cut out.
Yeah, it's good, man. I figured because I think the electricity like left. You're just gonna dip that shit out. Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all you guys make this mistake of believing that women perceive a handsome man as like a perfect man, or like he never makes mistakes, or like he never struggles with anything, or like he never has a tough day, or like he never fucking messes up sometimes, you know, like he is always perfectly on track with everything. But the truth is that women don't even want that. What makes a man handsome and what gives a man substance is to be able to like say, yeah, like sometimes shit happens and you keep it pushing, like you know, like Toby says, like you say, okay, well, maybe my cars were not working. Who gives a fuck? I'm still a man. I still push through it. You say, well, maybe yesterday I couldn't go to the gym. Well, I'm gonna go today. Well, yeah, yesterday fucking I ate junk food. Okay, I'm not gonna eat it today. You know, it's just like, and that's 1,000 times more valuable to women than just being this type of like perfect little robot who's like having a mental breakdown because he had a burger. Like, oh shit, well I had a burger now. I'm gonna like, you know, part of being handsome is also, and I want to touch on this topic as well because on my niche, especially, maybe not on yours, but on my niche, there's a lot of people who are a little bit obsessed with like health, you know, like with their health and with their nutrition and whatever. And something that I want to point out is that that's not handsome to women. Like, it's not attractive to a woman if you're too obsessed with health. Not only because, and for some reasons, right? First of all, it speaks of you that you have weak genetics, right? Because this is very important. This is something no one talks about, but and I've never seen a post about this, but if you tell a woman, and a lot of guys make this mistake, if you tell a woman your exact gym routine, your exact diet, oh yeah, well actually to look like this, I kill myself, she's going to think, well, first of all, that's boring as fuck, because women don't give a fuck about that. And second of all, it speaks like you need to try too hard. And women don't like it when you try hard. So if instead a woman sees, and maybe you are doing all the crazy shit, whatever, but you don't have to tell her that. A woman would prefer that she sees you jacked as fuck, but by doing less, like literally. Or she sees you with abs, and you don't have a crazy diet. She sees you eating pizza every once in a while. She's going to prefer that shit. You're going to find that shit a lot more attractive than a guy who's always completely disciplined. And if he eats junk food, he gets a mental breakdown, and he eats something that is not completely in his diet. He's like, oh shit, well now I'm pissed off or whatever. The woman is going to think, this guy's so weak. So you can have a guy with an amazing body. You can have another guy with an amazing body. She will choose a guy with an amazing body who is also having a fun lifestyle, who doesn't take himself too fucking seriously of like, yeah, you know what? She wants to have cake, and you're like, well, I cannot have cake because I'm going to mess up my abs. Women find that shit like really unattractive. And that's something that if I was a woman, I would even find it unattractive. I would be like, this motherfucker has shit genetics. Because women want to think, and yeah, maybe we as men, we know that we need a bit of extra work than what most people believe, whatever. But who gives a fuck? Like, women don't really care about if you tell a woman, well, so this is my exact gym routine. I do these reps and said, she doesn't give a shit. Like, most women don't. They just like it that you're jacked, that you're fit. You just tell her, I lift heavy shit. Because that's what you do. And that's what she enjoys. Like, and some guys go out there like trying to explain the crypto, trying to explain the nutrition, trying to explain. Of course, it's fine. She wants to know that you're smart. She wants to know that you know your shit. She doesn't want you to be a boring motherfucker who just always indulge. Sorry, you can never indulge in any junk food. You can never indulge in staying up because you cannot go past 10 p.m. because you're going to mess up your circadian rhythm or whatever. Some guys think that's attractive because some guys make the mistake of thinking that discipline is attractive to women. And to a certain level, it is attractive because, yes, women want you to delay, instant gratification. Yes, they want you to be responsible, but they don't want you to be this guy who can never stay past 10 p.m., who can never eat a pizza or a cake. Because then you just become this little robot that has no substance. Women do want the guy who eats a pizza and cake and stays fucking her all night long and wakes up looking amazing with an amazing body. That's actually what women find more attractive than a guy who's just completely focused on being perfect. Women don't want perfection. They want just sexiness and beauty in a way that is almost raw, almost like an animal. And that's something I can tell you, not a robot, be more like an animal, not like a robot. That's another dating tip I can give to the guys listening.
Yeah, man. That's because
I'm going to speak on this real
effortless.
But
You're talking about the neurotic side of saying this and this, and I do this and I do that. It's neurotic. It's what a woman does. A woman says, "I have a 7-step skin routine."
Exactly.
So she doesn't want to identify with you with that. There's a lot of things you're not supposed to identify with your girl on, where you're not supposed to add up to her. You got all this worrying done. You've worried up all the worries and didn't leave none for the bitch to worry. Let her do the worrying. You got to be the effortless one. Go ahead, man. Sorry, T.
No, because I want you to actually break this down for me real quick. I'm going to need like an alley because I just know the way that you're going to break this down is going to be cold. But I was going to say in terms of what Nuovo just said is there's a guy on Twitter called Colty Burn. He's got this thing where it's the Huberman types. So there's that guy who does the podcast, Huberman, whatever his name is, and he always talks about optimizing the perfect sleep routine. You can't be on your phone 1 hour before bed, all that kind of thing. It's like the thing is with that kind of stuff is it's like for real, it's like an obsession with appearing or trying to get like the perfect morning routine. Okay, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna drink a glass of water, and then I'm gonna go and wash my face, brush my teeth, and then I'm gonna go on a 3-mile run. It's stuff like that, which is so like weird. And it's like it's inherently feminine because it's almost like you're focusing on such the minuscule things. Like, does a morning routine matter? In a sense, yeah, but at the same time, if you just get up and do what you got to do, it don't matter what kind of routine you have. The guy who gets up and just does what he has to do, as opposed to the guy who's just having to hyper focus on this morning routine, the guy who's just doing it because he's got that purpose that we talked about earlier, he's going to go further than the one who's obsessed over a morning routine. But what I wanted Tony to speak on specifically was the whole idea of like your woman viewing you as if you're walking on water, as if you're literally like a god. And there's a difference between being God and a god, and that's something which Tony will break down for you. But yeah, there's the whole idea of your woman has to view you in a certain light. She has to view you as so much. I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier, but it's kind of going deeper into it. She has to view you in such a way that you're so big, you're so like, it's like she has to be obsessed with you because you're so different to everything else that's out there. So Tony, go crazy, man.
All right, well, I'll put it to you guys, to you viewers. I'll give it to you viewers right now in a tangible way that you can see. A lot of you guys probably follow Nuovo. He's a big page. A lot of you guys follow the Young Alpha Kings. They're big pages. But you can touch on them a little bit. You can get some of the crumbs of wisdom that they drop to you guys. For the right price, you guys can get a limited amount of their time. But you can never quite touch them. You guys couldn't call them right now and they'll answer the phone. You guys don't call them by their first names. You guys can't go out and touch them. And that's how we are with God. That's how religion works. You can get a little bit of God. Here and there, God will come in and he'll drop a little bit on you, regardless of who your God is. You only get a little bit. Doesn't matter what religion you are. You only get a little bit. If you could call God on the phone right now and God answered, you wouldn't look at God the same way. It's just that simple. He's above you. He's beyond your reach. He's just beyond your reach. He's in the veil. You can see him, but you can never run fast enough to catch him. And that's the operation that you have to be running with your woman. You have to be larger than life. She can never quite reach you. She can never quite relate to you. How does he do that? Damn, I would have been tripping in that situation. How did he keep his cool? Man, how does he work 4 hours and still find time to go to the gym and work 2 jobs? I just can't understand it. And they should never really understand you. You should be beyond reach. And that comes with many different aspects of it. That comes in many different forms. but a big one is being bigger than her. If you're reacting to the situation the same way she's reacting to the situation, why should she follow you? You're acting just like her, which means you're acting like a woman. In reality, there should be nothing in this world that's big enough to pull you away from the frame. And if you guys have actually built the frame, a lot of you guys claim to have, I'm not going to call you out on it, but if you guys have actually built the frame, then the frame isn't shakeable. They can't take that away from you. If you've practiced breaking yourself from lusts, if you're beyond ever watching porn again, you're beyond letting a woman's pussy dangle in front of your face and you'll lower yourself in order to get it. You're bigger than a certain amount of money coming in and compromising your morals and your integrity. You're bigger than that. You've reached a point bigger than that, just like God. God is bigger than those things. There's a lot of things you will never even assume. God doesn't have to argue with his wife, about where he's going and if she can trust him or not. She wouldn't dare, because God acts like God. God behaves like God. God is God. You can tap into a little bit of that. And I'm not attempting to put ourselves up, to the status of our, religious fathers. I would never even consider myself in the league of God. And that's the point. That's how your woman should see you. It even says that in the Bible. She should seek after you and the man seeks after God. When the man seeks after God and the woman seeks after the man, God is still throughout the whole household, because that's how far the husband is supposed to be above the wife. That if the man seeks after God, the woman is still godly. It doesn't say make the woman seek after God. It doesn't say for her to be an atheist, but it says that she should be seeking after the husband, and the husband guides everything. And most religions are actually like that. I know a little bit about the pagan religion, and the pagan religion was respectful of women, but it was still patriarchal. But there was still respect for the women. They still loved and respected their wives, but they weren't arguing about the petty shit that we argue about today, and neither were Christians. Half of the lessons in the Bible, every single woman in the Bible, was a lesson about how a woman connived a man. Think about that for a second. Except for, the Virgin Mary, every other woman in the Bible pretty much, Rahab, the prostitute, tricking the soldiers, Sarah tricking the Pharaoh, Delilah tricking Samson. Every single message in the Bible was warning you about how the true nature of women is. And it's not saying treat them bad, it's saying this is what they're up to. Women are a challenge, The devil challenges you in many forms. The universe challenges you in many forms. Whatever you say you're going to be, whatever you say you're never going to do, that's what's going to be knocking at your door for the rest of your life. If you're scared of being punk challenges are going to come your way nonstop. What you resist persists. So you have to reach a frame point. You have to reach a mind state. You have to reach an essence that's so high that she can't quite reach out and touch it. She can't quite grasp it. She can't quite comprehend it. It's just beyond her. And she's going to give you tests to try to knock you down, because she's not going to believe in your religion, the religion that you've created around your life. She's going to give you shit tests. She's going to put you in situations where you have to react a certain way in order for the situation to go cool, and you have to be beyond it. She shouldn't be able to quite reach out and touch you whenever she wants to. You should be beyond reach a little bit. You should be unreachable. She shouldn't be able to talk to you like one of her friends. There should be a level of admiration in how she talks to you, and you should correct it when she doesn't. When she gets a little too comfortable with you and maybe calls you a name when you're joking with her, you need to go back and you need to say, listen, you don't talk to me like that. I'm not one of your fucking friends, so you don't talk to me like one, okay? And then she's going to correct it. But it all comes down to a slippery slope. Now we have a world where people were so comfortable mocking Christians and Christianity. We have people mocking abortions outside of churches and protesting religion in general. That slippery slope got really bad really quick. We let a little bit of mockery towards religion happen, and now it's just outright disrespect. And that's how it's going to be with your girl, too. And that's how it's going to be with yourself. Like you had mentioned earlier, Nuovo is catching up when you make a fuck up. Fix it quick. You got to fix it quick. One mistake doesn't become you unless you make it become you.
Exactly, man. I mean, yeah, it's all about women. Women need to be put in their place when they disrespect you, and not only they need to, because of course, as you mentioned, that places you in a godly position over her, makes you bigger than her. Not only they enjoy it. I've had countless amounts of women who even verbally tell me they enjoy being put in their place, especially when they know that the place that you put them in is a place that is good for them. As you mentioned, kind of like what women do, if women could like believe in a god, it would be you ultimately, because women have this thing that they become obsessed with what you become obsessed with. So, for example, if you're a man who, you have your life mission, and you have a girlfriend, if you're a pagan and you meet your woman and she believed in Jesus, if she loves you enough, she's going to stop loving Jesus. She's going to make she's going to adapt to your religion. Like, and because women are programmed that way, because that's the way it worked when, for example, women, let's say, in a certain case, an empire got conquered by a different group of men. The women had to adapt to the new religion that they were told to believe, because if not, they wouldn't survive, simply. So women are made for that. Women are made for adapting to the beliefs, and they start to genuinely believe in the things that you believe in, and they can pick up on the way that you speak, on the way that you dress, the music you listen to. Basically, your duty as a man, and that's exactly why you can see, and it's bullshit that a lot of men nowadays complain about women. They're like, oh, women are sluts, women are this, women are that. Well, they have no example. Women are literally made to follow an example. Women don't really think for themselves as much as men do, and I know that some people might disagree with that, whatever, I don't give a fuck. But women are made to be programmed by something. And if it used to be their father, nowadays a lot of women don't have a father, so they get programmed by feminism, by their single mom who hates men, whatever. Deep down, she's just doing a complete damage to her mindset. But what ultimately is the truth and the reality is that women will get programmed either by you or by another man. And if you program one woman or multiple women, whatever you want, the more that you program them, the more they're going to become like you. They become like these mini versions of you in a feminine way. And that's ultimately what you mentioned, Tony, the religion. Basically, your lifestyle, your thoughts, your ideas become a religion to them. And they do see you as this god, and they follow whatever you think, whatever you do. I've had many women who, used to be vegan when I met them, ended up being carnivore. When I met them, they used to believe in Jesus, ended up being pagan. When I met them, they used to not be that much into nature, maybe more in the, city type side. When they started going to nature, they fucking fell in love with it. And it's because they are in love with you. You program them, and they actually do fall in love with your hobbies, with what you want. They even start obsessing with it, and that imprint that you leave in them never leaves. It never leaves them. And the better you imprint them, and of course this comes down with sex and whatnot, the better you imprint them, the less that's going to leave, the less she's going to forget you. And I have women nowadays who I've been with like years ago, and I still have troubles with like my current girlfriend that I have right now, because like she fucking sees how other women from my past like text me and they tell me that they miss me and whatnot. So that is something that you have to really keep in mind. Women will get imprinted by you, and if the imprint is hard enough, it's never going to leave. They're always going to love you.
Absolutely. And an imprint comes through obsession. And the only way that a woman can become obsessed with you if you are obsessed with yourself. In the sense of you view yourself as so, like, on such a high pedestal that you can never even come to grips with coming down to a woman's level. That's not to degrade women or to say that women are bad or anything. It's because you view yourself in a certain light. You view yourself in a certain standard to where a woman can't come close to that. And that's as a result of that kind of belief in yourself and that obsession with yourself that inherently attracts women, because you're operating yourself in a different energy. Like as I spoke about earlier, when you're trying to be something you're not, you're operating in an energy of desperation and an energy that you're trying to do things that you're not supposed to be doing, but you're doing it in the sake of trying to attract women. On the flip side of that, when you're moving in this kind of way, in the way where you view yourself as essentially like a god. I mean, obviously in the Bible it says we're created in the image of God, so that's how it's righteous. You're meant to view yourself in that kind of way. And once you do, people have no choice but to respect that. And if they don't respect that, then you don't respect them. And as a result, you don't even engage with them. So the whole idea of mixed signals with a woman, bruv. What is a mixed signal, bruv? Like, what does that even mean? Like, how can you be okay, or you can kind of like sit and sleep at night knowing, okay, yeah, this woman has mixed signals with me? Because that doesn't even make sense. How can you be hot? There's nothing that's hot and cold. It's either it's hot or it's cold. There's nothing in between, especially with a woman. She either likes you or she doesn't. And if you have to question it, you already know. If it's not a yes, it's a no. There's no kind of thinking or kind of deep thought that needs to go into, okay, how do I know if a woman likes me? You know when you'll know, and you know if you don't know. That's just, a lot of people try to overcomplicate this stuff, whether it's to do with women, whether it's to do with your looks, whether it's to do with your frame, anything. It really isn't that complicated. It all comes back to who you are as a man. And as Patrice O'Neill says, homage Patrice O'Neill said, everything trickles down from a man. From who you are, that's what the woman will see, and as a result, that's how she treats you. If you're being disrespectful to yourself in terms of if you're beating your meat, if you're lowering yourself, if you're putting her on the pedestal, as a result, she's going to put herself ahead of you because you've brought yourself down to her level. You always have to be a step above, you always have to be a step ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, that thing about like mixed signals, of course, it's complete bullshit. You know, like it's just when I tell you that when women like I have noticed for myself that when women are genuinely into me and when they have been genuinely into me, they make it known. And some people mistake this, you know, and this is my personal view on it. I want you guys to comment your views on it later. But I'm not the type of guy to judge a woman based on how much she shows me she's into me. And the reason why, I know a lot of guys say like, oh, if a woman is like all over me on the first date, that's slutty. I'm not the type of man. The reason why is because, well, my mindset on it is she cannot lose the opportunity, you know? So I might sound narcissistic as fuck, I don't give a shit. But she cannot lose the chance to be with me because then she might not be with me another night. And if I see it from that perspective for a lot of reasons, but I have noticed that when a woman is really into me and when she really feels me, she's willing to go as far as I allow her to go. And it's almost in a way that she's placing effort, she's texting first, she's needy, desperate, out here like simping for me basically. She makes it easy to have sex with you when she wants to have sex with you. She makes it easy for you to kiss her. She places herself in positions where it's easy for you. It's that simple. And if she's not that way, then she's not into you enough. I don't think you should bother. And if you've never had that with a woman, for the people listening to the podcast, then you should reconsider yourself. Because, and you should like fucking, for that same reason, listen to this podcast so you can take all this information and improve your life to the level where you do get that. Because that's one of the best feelings you can get as a man with women. The fact that you see that she is like unapologetically wanting you and no one else. And that's it.
I have a saying which I've been coining recently: obsession or nothing. Either she's obsessed with you or you're not even involved with her. And I can tell a story about this myself. So during, 2023? So 2020, when all the good stuff in the world happened, I was chilling with a woman at the time. And this is the kind of thing to where, so everything happened in March. But in around early February, I got ill. So I was ill. I actually couldn't, I was like bedridden essentially. So then I hit someone up saying, can you get me XYZ? So she finishes work, goes straight to the grocery store, buys me XYZ, delivers it to my dorm rooms I was in at the time. So that's one example. And then two, obviously everything that happened in March, everyone at my college at the time had left. So I was in the dorms by myself. I had no way to get out of the airport. But again, I hit her up. Can you take me to the airport? Cool. She comes over immediately. She helps pack my stuff, get all my stuff in my bag. And she drops me off at the airport again without any questions, without any kind of, even a slight bit of hesitation. She just came, and that was it. And then the third example, this is the same woman. When I come back in August time, I have to quarantine. So obviously, I either have a chance, I have the option of doing it on campus or off campus. I don't want to do it on campus because I don't believe in quarantining or anything like that. So I just hit her up. Boom. Can I come stay at your crib? Yes. Okay. So as soon as I go back to America, I'm staying at her place. I was with her for 10 days until she dropped me back off at the dorms. She did all of this without questioning, without any kind of pausing or hesitation. She was like, yep, we're good to go. And that was it. That's what I mean by obsession or nothing. And I can speak on many other stories that I'd had with her, whether it's buying me food, whether it's doing a bunch of different things for me. But it's the fact that she made it so like easy for me because she was so obsessed, she was so hooked. And as Tony said at the start, I had that hook in her. I had something to where she was so engrossed in me. As a result, she had no option but to kind of submit to me. And it's not nothing that I was like necessarily trying to do. I was just being myself. I was just being chill. And then as a result, she kind of seen the man that I am and the man that I will be. And I mean, to this day, I could still hit her up and she would probably fly out and meet me, or I could go to her crib or whatever. So that's the kind of thing that you should be dealing with when, in terms of this woman, obsession or nothing.
Hook in her ass.
That's so
Yeah.
That's how I've lived my whole life, dude. I'm at the point now where, okay, let's just say, how many pretty girls are there out there right now? You know, I don't know how, but all these bitches are bad somehow. There's so many beautiful women out here. It's wild. You know, we put it like this. Everybody thinks that girls are choosing which guy they get. You know, and it's true, really. It's just the nature of the world right now. There's about 25% of these guys will never have a woman in their life. They'll never have sex they didn't pay for. Another 25% are just going to be sharing the absolute bottom of the bucket. You know, the 400-pound lying, cheating, alcoholic, you know, the worst of the worst. The other 25% of the guys are sharing them. And this isn't even, you know, figurative. These are the actual numbers. I looked at these numbers. My friend told me that 25% of the world is incel. Like, literally, no option. We'll never have a woman. 25% is the bottom of the barrel. So that means automatically you're already at the top half. You're already there. Just now, just being a regular dude, you're already all the way up. So now let me tell you like this. Everybody has this idea that girls are choosing for the guys. But in reality, it should be you choosing out of the women.
Mm-hmm.
We're beyond, you know, getting a girl to like you. We're talking about what you said, T, obsession or nothing, and what he said. She's going to do whatever I want. She's just, or you didn't say she's going to do whatever you want. You said she's going to do whatever she can, which is essentially how things are supposed to be. You need to realize right now.
Sex as much as I allow her to, you know. So you have to women love that when you let them or you don't let them. You know, if you don't like somebody, just let it be known as much as you allow her to do, and that's a great position to be in as a man. Like you can just let her know. Like for example, there's just a silly fucking example, but you know it works. Like you can see the difference it makes when you kiss a woman for the first time, especially when you pull first, you pull back first. Most guys are so desperate for the kiss that they get the lips of the woman. They want to go all over, just passionate first kiss, whatever. That's a fucking mistake. You get to kiss the girl, and she's enjoying it. You pull back first. She's gonna want more.
I tell girls a lot of the time on dates, look, baby, don't take this the wrong way, but I hope you don't think we're having sex tonight. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
that just does something to them. I hope you don't think we're fucking tonight. And then she's going to be like, what? And then you know what they do? They fuck you, and then they say, I thought you said that we weren't having sex tonight. Well, anyway, let me kick back where I was going with that. The whole point is, if you're not gay, you know, for all the dudes that are just knock the incels out the way, if you're not gay, you're not a homosexual, you know, you're not 5 foot tall, you know, you're not mentally retarded, you're not in prison. You take away all those guys right now. You guys don't realize they say there's one girl for every guy. That's not the case. Take away all the dead motherfuckers that died in the war. Take away everybody in jail. You know, that's like a fifth of the population. You take away the homosexuals. You take away the people that were just born with one eye and one leg. You get rid of all those motherfuckers. You're already just being a regular person at 25%. The 1 out of 4 males who has a shot. Now, to take that, let's say you've worked on your integrity. You've worked on who you are as a man. You've actually woken up. A lot of these guys are asleep, but we're awake. At least us three, we're awake. We're awake. We see what's going on. You're choosing from the women. And until you accept that, and until you play that role, and until you realize you're choosing out of them, you're always going to be getting them to try to choose you. It's a shift. It's a paradigm shift. As soon as you accept your position, which is the position that a man is supposed to be in, that was the God-given position. That's how nature has been designed. Every other fucking species. Take birds, for example. Here's how birds work. Birds got a gang of fucking feathers. And the rooster with the nicest feathers gets all the bitches. And the roosters don't sit there and chase after the chickens. The chickens chase after the roosters. All the rooster does is just show up, shows his feathers, and then says, which one of these bitches wants me? And then one of them wants him every time. The lion with the biggest mane, he just shows up and the lion girls choose up. That's the inherent nature of the universe. The women have to prove to the man they're the woman that the man wants. The man is the prize. Now, truth be told, for those of you guys that this doesn't resonate with, it doesn't resonate because it's not true for you. But that's how things are supposed to be. And I guarantee that's the life you want to live. But it's not only the life that you want to live in the ideal way of things for us, it's how things were actually supposed to be in nature. In nature, you show your feathers, the birds show up. You grow out your mane, the lionesses show up. You're supposed to be the one that chooses out of them. They're supposed to be catering to you. You guys are catering to them. That's why things aren't working out for you. They're not programmed for that. Women don't think. They operate on their own algorithm. They do what they're programmed to do. They do what their instincts tell them to do. You might think everything's going good and a girl disappeared. Why? I'm sure that's happened to everybody. Things are going good and boom, girl just disappeared. You weren't filling the fucking void. You weren't doing what you were supposed to do. She's supposed to cater to you. And deep down, she knows it. That's why at first you have an argument with the girl about that kind of shit. You know, you're going to listen, no, I'm not, or no, I won't do this, or no, I'm not going to do that. And then they end up doing that because it's in their nature. You know, you're bringing them a whole different life than they've ever had. So they have to argue with it. But once you break it and they fall into place, it's the happiest I've ever seen a woman is when she's submitting. But they have to choose. They don't choose out of the men. You choose out of the women. You have to take yourself away right now from the mindset that you're going out and trying to get women. And you have to put yourself in the mindset that you're attracting women and they're coming to you. Very important that you see things that way because you're always going to fall into that dynamic of trying to prove yourself to them until you just consciously say to yourself right now, they have to cater to me. They have to prove themselves to me. Just by saying that to yourself and believing it, the moves that you start making are going to be completely different.
I agree with that shit, like 1000%. Because, like, you know, it kind of like what I mentioned earlier was my life became better even in dating when I stopped giving a fuck, and it's almost just like, you know, it almost is like the happiest the women I've ever like experienced them being their happiest is when they chose me first. Like when the woman chose me first. Yeah, because sometimes you can get a girl, you know, you approach her first, and then yeah, you know, you can have a good relationship. But the best relationship you're ever going to have with a woman is when she made it known to you that she wants you, and when she made it known to you. Of course, as you mentioned, like with the roosters, you know, with the lions, whatever, you will be like showing. So you basically show you're like this. You show like, this is my life. This is the way I look. This is the way I dress. This is what I like. This is what I do in my free time, whatever. Do you want it or not, right? And a lot of guys get this wrong idea because they go to the date and they tell the woman like, well, this is who I am and whatnot. The girl is like, well, this is who I am. Then the guy starts changing for the girl. He's like, oh, well, you actually, yeah, that's the worst fucking mistake you can make. I mean, ultimately, you have to show to the world, as you mentioned, who you are. And the women are going to flock to you. And if they are not flocking to you, there is either something fucking wrong with you. Because, of course, there's a lot of guys that come out here like, well, it's just because of this like generation. It's just a bunch of like, yeah, well, yeah, but you know, you still you still are going to get some type of juicy signals, unless you're fucking completely ugly. You're still going to get some attention. You're still going to get some, like, yeah, maybe you're not in the right place, but if you go to anywhere in the world, you change countries, you change fucking universities, you change the places you go to, you change gyms, and nowhere you get a woman trying to thirst for you even a little bit, then there's something wrong with you.
If you're doing all that and not getting the results, it's probably one of those guys that thinks they're doing it, says they're doing it, but isn't really doing it.
Yeah. It's just much easier when the woman is choosing you. As you mentioned, I just think that is natural. I mean, I've heard a lot of people who claim the opposite. Even sometimes men are like, well, like historically, whatever, animals are the ones who seek for reproduction. The sperm goes to the egg, not the egg to the sperm. Well, that's kind of bullshit. I mean, like, it is just simply, like, as you mentioned, it is a reality that it is supposed to be that the woman chooses the man, and you can see that happening in many different cases. I mean, even if it's not for a good reason. So, for example, I'm going to play this history example, which is going to be about Cleopatra, right? So Cleopatra, we all have heard about her, but Cleopatra was basically a bitch. She behaved really wrongly in terms of, like, her only ambition was just power. Whatever it was just power. And she ended up like fucking Julius Caesar and fucking Mark Antony, which both were enemies at one point in time. So she really did not give a fuck. And she did it all for the sake of gaining power and maintaining power. And then the actual man that ignored her, even though she was, according to history, very seductive and beautiful, was Augustus Caesar. And that was also the man who became the first Roman emperor. That was also why he was so great, because he was able to get through that. He was able to see through just the pussy, basically. And when you see through that, when you see through a woman as, she's not better than me, I'm like, because the problem is that Julius Caesar and Mark Antony kind of submitted to Cleopatra because they thought, well, she has all this power. She has all this power. She's the queen of the Egyptian Empire. Augustus Caesar had different plans. He believed, okay, maybe Rome hasn't had a king in hundreds of years, but I will be the first. Maybe my father couldn't because he was, too weak for it. Maybe Mark Antony couldn't, but I will be because I have big plans. And that's kind of what being godly goes to. And then he got a proper wife. But then it comes to show you that the way that you view yourself will determine if women fuck with you or not, in terms of, like, not if they have sex with you, but more in the terms of, like, they mess with you. Like, they will take advantage of you, because women, the more you allow them to take advantage of you, the more they will. But if you put them in their place, you will actually be able to take a lot of benefits from women. Of course, I'm not talking about you getting money from them, but you will get their submissiveness, their love. Women want deep down to be put in their place, and they want you to think of yourself and to behave superior to them, just like Augustus Caesar did, and completely shifted the entire Roman Empire. He turned it into an empire, actually. So you can see how worse can begin thanks to women, but how can also you can start an empire by ignoring some low-quality pussy and focusing on that godly mission that we were talking about before.
Yeah, and fundamentally, for me, it comes down to this. Don't try to impress, be impressive. That's something that Zebediah from the Minorities said. I don't know if he went from somewhere else, but it's the whole idea of just you as a person, you as a man is so cold, but as a result, people have to come to you. Opportunities have to come your way. Women have to come and choose you. People, as a result of who you are and the way that you carry yourself, it's almost like you're a social magnet. I talked about it literally on one of my posts a few days ago. Being charismatic is an art, because it is people. It's like everyone knows that person, to where if they're out and about, there's just people who's gravitating towards them. It's almost like they have like a bubble which people just want to come and be in, because they might feel better about themselves. They might get a laugh out of them. They might just, I kind of have a higher sense of being, and that's who you should be and how you should be. You should be so kind of cold, and it shouldn't be the case that you're trying to do something. It's just a matter of it's who you are and the way that you move. As a result, you are able to create this kind of aura which people want to be in. Again, don't try to impress, be impressive, bro.
Agreed, man.
Yeah, dig that.
Cool. So, does anyone have anything else you want to touch on?
You should do your
Well,
shout
I
out.
mean, yep.
Don't forget to shout your shit out.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So, man, well, we've been on this call for like an hour 40, but an hour 40 of game, you dig? So, Nuovo, go ahead and plug your stuff, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you guys know, I haven't been on Instagram much, but I do plan on making a comeback. I had to take some time off from social media because I kind of hate social media. Most of it, there's some good stuff, but most of it is just bullshit nowadays. So hopefully I've received a lot of texts from people, and they have told me like that they, precisely for that same reason, they miss my content. You know, most of it is bullshit. Most of the content you find. So hopefully I'll be making a comeback this own weekend, and that will come up, of course, with probably some discounts as a welcome back to my own self, to my account. So whoever's watching this, stay tuned for some discounts on my ebooks, and even on my Patreon, on my WhatsApp group, which is called SOB, which will also close the spots for this month quickly. We currently have 40 members, and if anyone wants to get like inside the group, then you have to be quick and get with the $25 tier, so you can access the group. And that's all for me now. Just great content that I plan on having put out more consistently in the upcoming days. And that's all for me now. It was a pleasure to be part of the Dose podcast. I'm glad we were able to touch on so many topics, and you know, we could go on for even longer, but we have to cut it because most people's attention span doesn't get too long.
Yeah, they probably stopped
So,
being
yeah.
starstruck about 20 minutes into that conversation, and the shit just kept coming.
Exactly.
Different level.
They
Tony, go
probably
ahead, plug
stopped
your stuff, man.
when you said that you were gay, man.
They didn't finish the whole fucking message up. All right, you guys.
Yeah.
So follow me on Instagram. The name is Gamed Up Mindset. That's GAMED, Gamed Up Mindset on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, same name, Gamed Up Mindset. My book is gaslightacademy.gumroad.com. Get that book. I'm about to drop an audio book called Female Nature on Gumroad. It's going to be audio only, not anything written. It seems like you guys do better with the audios. So go ahead and get at me. That's all I got. What's up, T?
Yes, sir. Well, that's the end right there. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're going to see you real soon. Stay blessed.